Judy's final gift: a journey of friendship, love, and the power of lasting connections. It's strange, the way life can take unexpected turns, reshaping everything you thought you understood about companionship, purpose, and even love. Not long ago, I found myself in one of the loneliest stages of my life. It wasn't the kind of loneliness that only physical company could fill, it was a deep, aching feeling, the kind that comes from having lived long enough to lose touch with what truly matters. My friends, the ones who knew me deeply, were scattered or had passed. My family, although supportive, felt like they belonged to a different world, a world where time moved a little faster and dreams felt a little more immediate. But then, into this desolate landscape, came a vibrant spark: Judy. I met Judy at a writers' group, an evening I attended half-heartedly. The group wasn't particularly large, just a handful of regulars who gathered to share poetry, stories, and thoughts on the books we were reading. Judy was different from everyone else there, not just because of her age. She was in her 90s and had a certain aura about her. She was fiercely independent, her thoughts sharp as a blade, and her laughter infectious. At 95, she had the vigor of someone decades younger, and her presence could fill a room with warmth. From the very first meeting, she was a beacon of hope, her passion for life contagious in ways I hadn't experienced in years. Judy and I quickly developed an unexpected, deep friendship. Our connection was, in many ways, a meeting of two kindred souls who had been around long enough to know that friendships like this are rare and precious. We would meet up often, spending afternoons discussing everything from literature to life's mysteries. She shared her experiences, tales of her youth, and stories that often had me laughing until my stomach hurt. I was her eager audience, hanging on to every word, fascinated by the depth and range of her experiences. It was as if Judy was a living repository of wisdom, and each conversation with her felt like opening a new chapter in a treasured book. One day, she called me to her apartment. When I arrived, she greeted me with her usual warm smile, though I noticed she looked more tired than usual. I sensed a weight on her mind, something she hadn't shared before. As we settled into our chairs, she began talking about the frailties of life, of how she had lived a full life and was ready for whatever came next. She revealed that she had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, a condition she had quietly lived with, managing her own care and making her own choices. Her tone was calm, resolute, even when she spoke about her decision to choose medical assistance in dying, a legal and respected option here in Canada. She explained it in such a matter-of-fact way that I was left speechless. Judy, always the epitome of courage and independence, was not letting life make her decisions for her. She was making the final call herself. We talked long into the afternoon, exploring subjects that felt heavy yet somehow freeing. We discussed her memories, her regrets, and her joys. Judy's reflections on life and death were profound, and I found myself grappling with my own feelings on mortality. How often do we get the chance to say goodbye, to share our final wishes with those who matter? Judy's clarity about her end was like a revelation, and it shifted something within me, a desire to live more openly, to treasure the moments of connection I still had. And then, just when I thought our conversation was over, Judy surprised me with a request that changed my life. She told me about her friend, Mike, a man close to my age who she thought would be a good match for me. She described him as thoughtful, compassionate, and just a little bit reserved, qualities she knew I would appreciate. I laughed at first, but as she described him, I realized she was serious. Her last gift to me, she said with a playful glint in her eye, was a chance at companionship, a chance to not be alone in this world. She urged me to meet him, saying, "I think he needs a friend as much as you do." In the days that followed, I found myself thinking about Mike often, wondering if he, too, was seeking something he hadn't found. I decided to attend Judy's book launch party, knowing Mike would be there. When I finally met him, I found myself instantly drawn to his gentle presence. He was engaged in a conversation with someone else when I saw him. A bit too engaged, if I'm being honest. I wanted to approach him, to say something clever or interesting, but I froze. Doubt crept in, and before I knew it, I had left, embarrassed and disappointed with myself for not even trying. It wasn't long after that encounter that Judy made her final arrangements. She had a stroke and, knowing her time was near, decided to go forward with her plan. I was heartbroken, yet she had prepared me for this moment. In her way, on our last call, Judy spoke with a kind of peace that was foreign to me. She asked if I had met Mike and laughed when I told her how I had fled. "Give it another try," she insisted, with that familiar warmth in her voice. Not long after Judy's passing, I received an unexpected call from Mike. Judy had shared my contact with him, mentioning I was someone worth getting to know. We arranged to meet at a small coffee shop, both of us arriving with an envelope Judy had left for us to open together. As we sat down, nervousness filled the air, but it quickly faded as we began to talk, sharing stories of Judy and her unforgettable kindness. When we opened the envelope, we found a letter from her, urging us to enjoy each other's company over a meal, her final blessing on this unlikely friendship. As Mike and I spent more time together, I realized just how much Judy's final gift had transformed my life. Each day with Mike brought new joys, and each conversation was like discovering a part of myself I had long forgotten. We explored the city together, shared our dreams and fears, and over time, something profound began to blossom between us. I thought of Judy often, grateful for her wisdom and the love she had left behind. Reflecting on Judy's legacy, I realized the importance of meaningful connections and how, sometimes, those connections come when we least expect them. Judy's last act was one of kindness. A reminder that even in the face of mortality, we can create something beautiful, something lasting. Her memory lives on in every laugh, every conversation, and every shared moment between Mike and me. In the end, Judy's gift wasn't just a chance at love, it was a testament to the power of friendship, to the ways we can touch each other's lives, even in our final days. She taught me that life's most precious moments often come when we open ourselves up to the unexpected, to the gifts hidden in the everyday. And though she may be gone, Judy's spirit lives on in the love she fostered, a legacy that will stay with me forever. When boundaries blur a family's journey through overprotectiveness and healing, in the delicate balance of family dynamics, sometimes the lines between love, care, and control can blur, leading to misunderstandings that have the potential to strain even the closest relationships. This is exactly what happened on a seemingly idyllic beach vacation. A trip that was supposed to bring relaxation and joy but instead became the setting for unexpected tension and deep-seated emotions. Our story centers on two people deeply connected but with clashing views on boundaries and privacy: Kelly, a fiercely protective mother, and her longtime boyfriend, who has watched her son Ryan grow up like his own. This vacation, a gathering of friends and family, seemed like the perfect escape. Yet hidden beneath the laughter and the sounds of the waves were old wounds and unspoken fears that would soon come to the surface. Kelly's son Ryan, now an adult, was joined on the trip by his girlfriend Emily, a sweet but independent young woman who had captured Ryan's heart many years ago. Their relationship was steady and full of mutual respect. But to Kelly, this closeness stirred complex feelings. In her mind, Ryan was still her little boy, and she struggled to accept that he was now a man capable of making his own choices. It was a seemingly minor event that sparked the clash, a casual walk to deliver a forgotten wallet, that set off an emotional wave far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. When Kelly entered Ryan and Emily's shared room unannounced, the sight she encountered became a lightning rod for all her buried fears and past heartbreaks. As we delve into this story, we will explore not just the details of that fateful morning but also the journey that led each character to that moment. Through their perspectives, we will see how love, attachment, and the fear of losing someone close can sometimes cloud judgment and test boundaries. We'll follow them as they navigate their way from conflict to understanding, learning invaluable lessons along the way about trust, letting go, and the importance of respecting the choices of those we care about. The day had begun as any other on their trip, with a calm beach breeze and the smell of sunscreen in the air. Ryan and Emily, both early risers, had gone out for a morning walk, hand in hand, strolling along the shore and enjoying the quiet moments before the family gathering later that day. They laughed, shared stories, and teased each other, the kind of comfortable connection that only years of companionship could foster. To an outsider, they were simply a young couple in love. But to Kelly, this relationship triggered memories of her own past, one filled with heartbreak and the challenges of raising a child alone. Kelly had always been a protective mother, partly out of love and partly out of a deep-seated fear. Ryan was her only child, and she had poured her heart into raising him. Over the years, she'd watched him grow from a curious little boy into a confident young man. But a part of her clung tightly to the image of the child who depended on her for everything. And now, with Emily in the picture, Kelly felt a complex mix of pride and apprehension. She loved her son deeply but struggled to accept that he was becoming independent, forming his own life and, potentially, his own family. Her boyfriend, however, saw things differently. To him, Ryan was an adult, capable of making his own choices, including in his romantic life. He had known Ryan since he was a teenager, had mentored him as a coach, and had become close enough to consider him almost like his own son. He admired the young couple's relationship, seeing in them the kind of love that is built on mutual respect and understanding. And so, when Kelly insisted on separate rooms for Ryan and Emily during this vacation, he couldn't help but think she was being overly cautious. To appease Kelly, they arranged for Ryan and Emily to stay in separate rooms, though both her boyfriend and the rest of the family suspected this rule would be relaxed. And, as expected, the couples had quietly swapped room keys, allowing each pair to enjoy some privacy. It was a practical solution, one that respected Kelly's wishes on the surface but allowed Ryan and Emily to be together as they preferred. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, and everyone was content with this unspoken arrangement. But then, on the third morning of their trip, Kelly discovered that Ryan had left his wallet in their room the night before. Her boyfriend suggested she simply text Ryan and let him know, or bring it to him at breakfast. But something drove Kelly to ignore this suggestion. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was an instinctual need to check on him. Or maybe it was something deeper, a feeling she couldn't quite name. So, without knocking or alerting him, she used her key to enter his room. The sight she encountered threw her into shock. There lay Ryan and Emily, entangled in each other's arms, not engaged in anything overtly intimate but clearly relaxed in each other's presence. Partially undressed but covered by a blanket, they looked peaceful, happy even, and in that moment, Kelly was overwhelmed by a wave of emotions she hadn't anticipated. For Kelly, this wasn't just about seeing her son in an intimate setting. It triggered memories from years ago when she'd been hurt by Ryan's father, a man who had promised stability but left her to navigate life as a single mother. The image of Ryan with someone else, building his own life and connections, suddenly felt like a threat to her sense of security. She felt as if she were losing him, as though he was slipping away from her grasp, becoming part of a world where she no longer played the central role. Back in her room, she confided in her boyfriend, venting her frustration and sorrow, trying to make sense of what she had just witnessed. She was visibly shaken, on the verge of tears, and while he tried to comfort her, he couldn't help but feel that she was overreacting. To him, it was a normal, even sweet, display of affection between a young couple. He gently reminded her that Ryan was no longer a child and suggested that perhaps she was taking things too personally. But this only seemed to upset her more. Later that day, Emily, sensing the tension, approached Kelly's boyfriend and quietly apologized. She expressed concern about Kelly's reaction, mentioning that she knew how difficult it could be to navigate Kelly's moods. This confession saddened him, as it revealed the strain that Kelly's feelings were putting on Ryan and Emily's relationship. He was disappointed, not in Emily, but in the fact that Kelly's protective instincts were now causing unnecessary stress for those around her. At dinner that evening, the mood was somber. Kelly refused to join the others, choosing instead to remain in her room. Her boyfriend tried to talk to her, urging her to come down and enjoy the meal with the family. But she insisted on staying back, claiming she was too upset. For Ryan and Emily, the dinner felt uncomfortable, as though a cloud of disapproval was hanging over them. They tried to keep the conversation light, but it was clear that everyone sensed the tension. In the following days, Kelly continued to isolate herself from the group, retreating into a world of her own emotions and memories. Her boyfriend, increasingly concerned, began to wonder if there was something more going on beneath the surface. He noticed that she seemed unusually irritable, snapping at small things and withdrawing into silence. He wondered if perhaps she had forgotten her medication, something that helped her manage her emotions and maintain a sense of balance. Eventually, he brought up this concern, gently suggesting that she might need to check in with her doctor. To his relief, Kelly agreed to speak with her therapist. who suggested that her recent emotional swings could be related to both her unresolved trauma and the possible onset of menopause. The therapist encouraged her to seek support and reminded her that her son's independence was a natural part of life, a milestone to celebrate rather than fear. In a moment of vulnerability, Kelly admitted to her boyfriend that her attachment to Ryan was something she had always struggled with. She explained how, as a single mother, she had poured everything into raising him, and now, seeing him with someone else felt like losing a part of herself. She confessed that Emily, with her confident, outspoken personality, sometimes intimidated her, making her feel as though Ryan was slipping further away. It was a deeply emotional revelation, one that helped her boyfriend understand the roots of her behavior. Meanwhile, Ryan, understanding the need for boundaries, gently but firmly reminded his mother that he was an adult capable of making his own choices. He expressed his love for her but emphasized the importance of respecting his relationship with Emily. This conversation, though difficult, was a turning point for Kelly. She realized that her actions had the potential to harm her relationship with her son if she continued down this path. In the days that followed, the family gradually found their way back to a sense of normalcy. Kelly began to relax, accepting that her son's life was evolving in ways that she could not control. She found comfort in knowing that she had raised him well, instilled values of respect and love, and that he was building a healthy, supportive relationship. Emily, for her part, showed kindness and patience, extending an olive branch to Kelly in the form of a casual invitation for a drink, a gesture that, to Kelly's surprise, she accepted. By the end of the vacation, the family had moved past the initial tensions, finding moments of laughter and connection that reminded them of the bonds they shared. Kelly's boyfriend was relieved to see the change in her, and he felt hopeful that this experience had brought about a positive shift. Ryan and Emily, too, felt a renewed sense of ease, knowing that they could live their lives with a little more freedom and understanding from those around them. As the final night of the trip drew to a close, Kelly took a moment to reflect on everything that had happened. She realized that, though her journey was far from over, she was ready to start letting go, to trust in her son's ability to lead his own life, and to open herself to the possibility of seeing him as an equal, rather than a child in need of her constant guidance. As the vacation came to an end, Kelly sat quietly on the beach, watching the waves roll in and out, each one reminding her of the ebb and flow of life. In those final moments, she allowed herself to reflect on the journey she'd taken, not just during this vacation, but over the years of raising her son and learning to let go. She knew her love for Ryan would never fade, but she also understood that love could not be rooted in control or fear. True love meant trusting him to build his own life and to choose his own path, even if that path sometimes felt like it was leading him further away from her. Kelly thought back to the moments of tension, the heated words exchanged, and the hurt she had felt. She realized now that her reaction had come from a place of unresolved pain, from fears that were hers alone to work through. In that moment, she made a silent vow to continue on her own path of healing, to face her insecurities, and to honor the independence she had raised Ryan to cherish. As the family gathered to leave, Kelly pulled Ryan aside, looking him in the eyes with a newfound respect. She told him she was proud of the man he had become, that she could see he was happy with Emily, and that this happiness was all she ever wanted for him. The look in Ryan's eyes showed relief and understanding, and he embraced her with a warmth that reassured her of their bond. A bond that did not need to be controlled or guarded, it was simply there, steady and unbreakable. Kelly's boyfriend watched this exchange from afar, feeling a quiet pride for the progress she had made. He, too, felt the change in her, a lightness that hadn't been there before, a sense that she was finally ready to let go of the past and embrace the future. As they drove away from the beach, Kelly found herself at peace, knowing that while she couldn't hold on to Ryan in the same way she once had, she could hold on to the love they shared in a way that allowed him to grow. And in doing so, she had also found a way to grow herself. This was the lesson she would carry forward, a lesson of trust, respect for boundaries, and the profound strength it takes to let those we love truly be themselves.